welcome into the League Down Under. It's the podcast that takes you inside the inner sanctum of our Dynasty League, and it ultimately asks the question, which team are you going to side with? I'm your host, Ben, joined by my two co-hosts, Keeney and Hod. How we doing, Keeney?
Very good, mate. Wonderful to be back once again, and a jam-packed, fun-filled episode. Hod, talk us through it.
It will be fun-filled. I had a chuckle listening back to our very rusty first episode. And anyone want to have a crack at the over-under of times Ben used the word chronicle?
Wow.
Yeah,
Above zero?
I'm with you. It was probably like 4.
Really?
It was a lot.
It was 3.
Were you chronicling his chronicles?
He was chronicle.
You chronicled my chronicles. What else?
And in different forms too. Chronicle, chronicling, I heard. Narcissism.
Bit of narcissism.
But it was great to have the feedback. We've got our listeners back. They didn't give us anything for the last couple of years, and straight away, I think the episode was out early Thursday morning, and by 8 a.m. it was already listened to by our man Ruxin.
That is some classic narcissism if I've ever heard of it. You're spot on there. So I've clearly got to bust out the thesaurus tonight, Hod. You put me on blast in about 30 seconds.
What's the word of the night going to be?
Well, I'll let you decide as we go. But if you haven't tuned in, jump on the socials. We've got the League Down Under is the Instagram handle there. League Down Under on YouTube. If you jumped on and watched the episode, we had probably had more views than I expected for a podcast that launched that was rusty as it was. So hopefully it was good viewing. We'll make it a bit more of a visual medium too. And tonight we're going to run you through a bit of our live lottery and a mock draft as well. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking, it's a bit hard to track the picks there, jump on YouTube. We'll have the draft board up and everything like that too. So we'll get you listening across platforms. But just a bit of a recap. We didn't really launch into it too hard last week, but this is... We did say we're chronicling. Oh, there you go, Hod. We are chronicling. We are covering the Empire Dynasty League, which is our 12-team Dynasty League. It is a super flex, tight end premium. If you don't know what those things mean, don't stress. Essentially, it just means more value on quarterbacks, a little bit more value on tight ends. So as we go through the mock draft, we're going to talk a little bit. There's a bit of position scarcity with the quarterback, which, if you don't do a super flex league, it is a lot of fun because all of a sudden a position like quarterback that does traditionally get faded in fantasy football when people are drafting, it puts a little bit more emphasis, kind of like in real life, which is why we lent into that.
I stole my point. That's exactly what most leagues have moved to the super flex format is we are real life GMs and owners and head coaches and all of the above. So why not have the biggest position as the most valuable and the best position in league sport, the tight end, should be a premium all the time.
The premium just means they get an extra half a point for a catch on top of the other skill position players there. So there's a little bit of a snapshot of the rules and everything that we follow in our league. As I said, it's been going for 5 seasons, going into our 6th season right now. And we are about to do a live lottery draft. And so if you've never heard of a dynasty league, it's essentially like fantasy football, but you keep all your players at the end of the year, and only through trading do you turn over your team, and then through draft picks do you get in the rookie players. So that's where, we watch the rookie draft in the NFL with a bit closer eye than you normally would, because they're the players that we're getting into our lineups here. So our lottery determines the order of the first 6 picks. Some leagues just go with, like the NFL, worst record gets the first pick and so on. We've got a little bit of a different spin, one to try and avoid some tanking there, Hod.
I was just going to say, it's you made a very good point last week that the DFF lives by, that he is always winning, and that is the beauty of Dynasty. We do another league, have for a long time, probably over a decade, of redraft, and the draft night is great, but Dynasty is probably the preferred format and where everyone is leaning these days because of that very reason. It's like real life. If you're bad, you should get some reward with the draft, and vice versa. If you're very good, then you're obviously playing for the top price.
And, the beauty of Dynasty, as we have found, is that it's about engagement, and it's getting 12 people that care as much about the league and care just as much about the banter. If someone makes a draft pick, getting stuck into them if they possibly have reached a little bit on a player, or if they get an absolute steal, getting around them. And so, maybe you might not have 11 other people as into NFL and fantasy football. So that's where we come along. Tune in. If you haven't got 11 other people to ride the bumps with, we're providing that for you. And we're going to get those people on the pod so you can actually get to know the personalities that you may gel with, you may not, you may just sort of... you want to see success for certain teams. So that's what we're hoping to get out of this, get a bit of tribalism, if you will, from our listeners with our 12 teams in the Empire Dynasty League.
Absolutely. And if you haven't done a lot of Dynasty either, I think the lottery is a really good way to spice things up a little bit, but also in terms of trying to avoid tanking. We don't really like tanking too much. So to avoid that, we've done the lottery system. We've also done a max points for system to determine who gets what in the lottery, which basically means it calculates the best possible lineup that your team could have played in any given week. And that's what we use as an order to rank first to sixth in the lottery. So it gives us a better indication of which teams, from a depth point of view and a whole list point of view, is probably battling in the league. So we find it a really good way to do things. Pumped to do the lottery tonight, boys. First time ever we've done a live lottery, so looking forward to getting stuck into it. Hod, did you have anything?
Well, you mentioned tanking, and hasn't the DFF tanked for all 6 seasons of this league? Or is that just my eyes on that one?
Well,
yeah.
Well, no, he's the only team to yet to make a playoff appearance, as far as I know, and we're into year 6. So there's 7, and there's a level of expectation on the DFF this year. He may not want to acknowledge that or admit it.
It's really there for the
we'll get to the worst division in sport history when we get to it. But he is a red hot chance to win the divvy. So wait and see what happens. But we'll dive into these teams as we go. Don't you worry about that.
We will. So as we prepare here, Keeney is going to share his screen here, and what we've done in the past is we have spin the wheel. Yeah, we've done a literal lottery where we've had balls that come out and you get the combinations there, and so what we've done is essentially, if you were the worst ranked team according to what Keeney was just saying, you have the most chances to secure the number 1 pick, and if you were the second worst team, and so on. So ultimately, what's come with trading, though, is that the San Diego Demons, they basically own a monopoly on the first round here. And for these first 6 picks, that determines the order of the lottery. So right now, we're going to do the live lottery draw to work out the order of the first 6. So not even the guys in the league know the order of this. They are going to be finding out in real time with all of you as you're watching along here. So
this is live.
You are right in the inner sanctum as we chronicle Hod the picks.
And I think it's worth noting too that Camo, as you said, Camo's got 1, 2, 5, and 6 in the lottery here. I've got my team. I've got some skin in the game here, boys. Mm-hmm. This is a big spin for me, actually, to be fair. I might get excited. And the Steph, the DFF, the Great Factory, he's in there as well. But we're expecting Camo to jag pick 1. He's got a 75% chance to get pick 1. I think I'm at 14 or 15, and then 16, and then 9 for
DFF. So there's a chance DFF. This would be, if this happens live on the pod, this would be one of the greatest recordings ever. If the DFF, who famously he loved Trevor Lawrence in college, had nothing but a man crush on the guy, had the number 1 best chance to secure him and didn't get it. So this would be a huge win if he snagged that at a 9% chance.
We'll stop dilly-dallying, but I think it's worth acknowledging this is a big pick 1. Like, there is a gap between 1 and 2 in this draft. So this spin is, I'm getting a bit nervy, actually.
Well, we mentioned, if you cast your minds back to last week, we mentioned the DFF is the Browns. He sells toilets for a living, and when he listens... Well, when he listens to this live Thursday morning, it might be about that time that he falls through his own.
Might be having his own morning brown while he listens.
Well, we're right on the 10-minute mark of recording, so I think there's no better time, boys, than to spin the wheel for the 2026 EDL Lottery Draft. Good luck to those playing. Here we go. Pick 1. We're on the spin. It's
Sounds
slowing.
like it's real life spinner.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. This is rigged.
The grouse.
This is rigged.
16%. Hey, can I also, Keeney, as
Sorry, I need to mute myself.
that's actually absurd. 16% against 75%, and you've snagged that. Can I also you're a statistician, you love your stats. I'm going to reveal that while we were testing this out, you spun it probably 3 times just to check it was working.
4 times I spun
and
it.
it came up with Camo all 4 times. So how much
That's
did you tank? How much did you tank his odds by doing 4 test runs? I reckon there needs to be an inquiry here.
That's a dagger to Camo. I got to say,
That's ridiculous.
He owns 9 first-round picks and he hasn't got pick 1.
Yep.
Ooh, I don't want to celebrate too hard, but believe you me, I'm rather aroused.
Remove that from the list. So we've got at pick 1 here, goes to the grouse.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. That's ridiculous. I sort of feel bad, but I don't. All right, pick 2 coming in. We've basically got the DFF with 5 balls out of 45 or something. So if this isn't Camo, I'm severely. I apologise.
Here
we go.
Worse. Ooh, that got
Spinny spin. Don't
Sorry
do it.
if the sound effects are too loud here. Okay,
And
order has been restored here, I think.
The original pick 1, which is important, the original pick 1 nets him pick 2 here. So it probably helps the DFF's chances of somehow jagging pick 3. But if not, he will end up with pick 5.
I will apologise. I don't know how this is going to sound back to the listeners because the spinning of the wheel has a sound effect and the round of applause after it gets selected. So if this is blowing your eardrums out or your speakers out in your car, apologies.
It could just be me.
It's also building the suspense.
Exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Number 3. Here we
Right.
go.
So, and just before we spin the third one, just so everyone is aware, it's a 3-spin lottery. After 3 spins, the organic order or original order, if you like, is placed into the remaining 3 slots. So here we go. Spin number 3. Can the DFF jag something here? Doesn't look like it.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it. I'm
Nope.
not seeing any. We go with... So, Camo, unfortunate.
So that's his pick 2. Yeah, that's his pick 2 got pick 3. So then
So what's that leave?
so the DFF slides into number 4. Camo gets 5 and 6.
Okay, so what we will do now then is just run you through what the order of the first round, or that the lottery is, because that was the main part that we did there. So Keeney, just against all odds, if you will, comes up and gets the pick number 1 there. Camo is left with picks 2 and 3. The DFF get pick 4. Camo, or the San Diego Demons, then remain with pick 5 and 6. So, as you said, Keeney, you highlighted someone that owns 9 picks out of the 12 and was also the highest seed to get. He had the number 1 and number 2 seeded pick, is that right? And he didn't get the first round. That's some pretty stiff results there. And this is why you do the lottery, that tanking doesn't guarantee you the number 1 spot. It puts you in with a chance, but it doesn't guarantee it. Leaves the door open. A bit NBA style is where we took our inspo there from. So now we're going to jump over to, we're going to kick that, now that we have an official first round and now that we're aware, we're going to jump through a mock draft. The 3 of us are going to pick. So let's launch into our mock draft.
Mock, yeah, ing, yeah, bird, yeah, 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 mockingbird, don't everybody have you heard? She's gonna buy me a mockingbird.
All right, Hod, why don't you share the draft board on the screen for anyone watching on YouTube? And if you are listening to a podcast right now, an audio medium, and you're thinking, I'd like to see this, jump on The League Down Under on YouTube. Type it in. There's only one.
And also we are invested in pumping through the socials this year at a high clip. And I tell you what, back-to-back number 1 picks for the Grouse. If you like supporting a winner and you like to just jump on the bandwagon, there's no greater time than right now, ladies and gents. Jump on board.
Just for context as well, for anyone who doesn't know much background for our man Keeney, he's been a D's fan his whole life. So if there's someone that knows about tanking for a first pick and how that works out at the in the draft, it's probably him. So is this going to be maybe a Trengove style selection
Scully?
for Keeney? Scully? Who
Could
knows?
be. Our man Camo's a big
He is
demon
also a
too.
D's fan.
So just shows that all the D supporters are at the bottom of the fantasy ladder. It's good.
You wouldn't have guessed it with a team name like San Diego Demons that he
No.
was a big D's fan.
He also used to go for the Chargers, believe it or not. It's hard to imagine.
You mentioned that there was a big prize for the 101. So why don't you tell us who the grouse
you
is
kick off the
acquiring?
mock.
Well, I think at this stage, I don't want to overthink it. And I think we can have a chat about him, but Jeremiah Love goes in here at the 101. I think he's in a tier of his own. Hod, you were saying off air that probably in the last 7 days since our last podcast, you've put the slows on him a touch in Dynasty.
A little. I think we were talking about where we think he'll finish. I don't know if it was on or off air last week, but I was pretty confident he'd be a RB1 this coming year. For Dynasty aside, it's a unanimous pick. He's fine. He'll be a top 5 running back for a while. But for redraft, it'll be really interesting. And I point to the Nathaniel Hackett situation being the offensive coordinator there. I don't know how he keeps getting a job, by the way, but I just want to...
He's got dirt on someone.
He does. And it's probably going to have dirt on this running back room because he loves sharing the workload, which we don't like in fantasy. 2019 to 21, Aaron Jones split with AJ Dillon and Jamal Williams. Denver in 22 when he got the head coaching job. Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, a 3-headed monster. And then his short reign at the Jets, he had Delvin Cook split with Michael Carter, who was a 5th-round running back. So I just don't know how that's going to pan out. And it might be just really annoying for the owners of Jeremiah Love with James Conner and Tyler all the gear there.
Yeah. So Tyler's got all the gear. No, well, we touched on it last week that it could just be a patience required in year one. Dynasty, I'm not too concerned, but it may not be as exciting as maybe advertised. But I think also, Ben, it might be worth, before we make a pick on each team's behalf, maybe just having a quick summary on what they might need from a roster point of view, in our view, as we go.
Definitely. So we've sort of just done a really, really brief overview of the teams, looking from more a dynasty outlook, not necessarily contending for right now what could their needs be, because when you're picking up rookies, you're kind of looking more to the future than the right now. So San Diego Demons and the Gym City Stallions, we've kind of got them all round. There's really no particular position that stands out. They are probably just going to take best player available. We've got yourself, Keaty, with the Grouse, probably more the QB tight end position need, but you wouldn't certainly be short of picking a running back if there's quality available, like you've done. The DFF, once again, QB tight end and maybe some depth at running back is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's do it as we pick.
Okay.
Just mention the team.
Yeah, people won't remember that. That's true. So I'm going next with Camo for the San Diego Demons for pick 2 here. We said he needs a bit of everything. Kind of doesn't matter with pick 2 and 3. I think that these probably the top 3 is going to be a bit unanimous. So I'm going to say that he just, for argument's sake, takes Fernando Mendoza at pick 2, just because it's super flex and getting your QB sorted is important. So that's where I think he'll go.
Very well done. We do have Camo as needing all positions. I think that's easy to sum up.
Do you agree with that, Hod? As in Mendoza goes in the next 2 picks, definitely?
I think it's a unanimous in Superflex top 2. But in the off-season or draft season, the more and more I hear, Mendoza is slipping down potentially. But I'm going to stick to my best player available big board here, which might surprise some to the consensus. And I've got Camo taking Jordan Tyson here with pick 3. And the reason for this choice is wide receivers obviously a need for San Diego Demons. And I think the consensus is It's Tate, Tyson, Lemon in any order, depending on your preference. Tate is the consensus 3. I've got Jordan Tyson here, though, because I really like where the New Orleans Saints offense is going with Callum Moore and Tyler Shuck. Surprised a few last year. And they run a very high-tempo offense. I think it's perfect having Chris Olave there to take the number 1 corner. And Jordan Tyson, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in this class. It's just he has the injury history, which has pushed him down boards a little bit. But he's a great contested catch player. And I think he's up for a pretty solid season. First up in New Orleans.
Yep, very good. I think you're right. I think he's rising, and it'll be fascinating to see which way the league goes in terms of the first wide receiver off the board. Now, I'm picking here for the DFF. I'm sure he'll be tuning in very intently. Just in terms of the DFF's needs, Benny, what do we got here? We got probably QB and
QB tight end, possibly RB depth.
He's
got Breece Hall as his number 1, and then sort of drops off a bit after that.
Yeah, it'd certainly be bold to go and pick Jadarian Price here. I'm not going to do that. I think there's an obvious pick here. I spoke about the concerns on Carnell Tate last week, and they're my personal concerns. And we do have a massive, massive Philly homer. So Lemon is coming right in here at pick 4. I don't mind him at that spot anyway. I think they're going to feature him. I think, new offensive coordinator should only help. AJ Brown's about to get traded. I think he's actually got a relatively high floor, so I can see the DFF picking him off here, his boy, and why not have a bit of fun when you're playing fantasy anyway?
Absolutely. I'm coming in here with pick number 5 for the San Diego Demons. He has pick 5 and pick 6. I mean, like you said, Hod, the 3 wide receivers, it's sort of whatever order is your preference. This is where Camo will take his preference. DFF will most likely swoop in with the next one, and he'll probably pick up the 3rd option. At this point, it's Carnell Tate, so lock him in at pick 5.
So it looks to me like, just going through this exercise, pick 5 is not a bad spot to be. So you see what falls a little bit, and whatever gets to you, gets to you. It's probably pick 6 that there looks a little cliff from there, right?
Yeah, I would. It's probably 7
Maybe.
now with Jadarian Price getting the draft capital that he did. But yes, the consensus or the top tier has always been the 5. So getting Carnell Tate there, it'll be a lot more interesting if this is how a draft board fell for teams with 1 pick each. Because if you got Carnell Tate at pick 5, you would be very happy with how the boards played out. But for the sake of the draft, carrying on, I've got pick 6 here, and it's Camo again. And I'm still going to go with, given all the positional needs that he has, needing all of them, I'm going to stick with wide receiver. It's a premium position in fantasy football, and I'm going to go with a rookie that probably is the number 1 in the Cleveland offense, and that's KC Concepcion.
His name's getting shorter and shorter by the episode.
Yeah, KC. I really like the profile here. He's a very fast, twitchy slot guy. Can play on the outside if he needs to, and he has done that in his different college seasons. But the most recent is the slot, so that's where he probably will start, and that's really good for a rookie. He will be featured prominently no matter who the quarterback is. I'm hearing Deshaun, boys.
Yep.
Getting a bit of momentum.
Yeah, hearing that too.
All right, Keeney, who are you picking for?
Well, I am now picking for Timos, the great Timos. Straight cash. And I agree with you. I think this is where, and to be fair, like, he doesn't have too many weaknesses, Timos. He has a very nice team indeed. I think if anything, yeah, I think he's a little shallow in terms of depth in the running back position. So I'm going to pick off here Jadarian Price with the Seahawks, gets to work straight away with the injury. Just had a mental blank of who that is. Charbonnet, sorry. The injury there, and obviously old mate Kenneth going to the Chiefs. So at pick, 7? I think that's about right and where he might go.
That's fallen very nicely.
It has, and this I am up next picking for Camo for the San Diego Demons. He now rounds out the end of the first round. He has picks 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and pick 13 at the start of the second. So really, this is probably, in all reality, where he is going to wheel and deal a little bit on the night. I think people will come to him if there are still players on the board that people are interested in. He will entertain. This guy loves a trade, in case you didn't pick up on the fact that he has 9 of the first round picks going on. But for argument's sake, he's picking here. I'm going to say that he would have liked to get Jadarian Price, because just to round out his sort of draft picks here, it is opportunity, as we spoke about last week, is huge for him. The drop-off is pretty large, I'd say, for the next running back in probably Jonah Coleman, I would say. So he's going to hold off on that. I think he just goes next best available. In this situation, I'm going to go Omar Cooper as the next pick for him, for the Jets. Young wide receiver, 22 years old. You're basically banking on the Jets just not being traditional Jets. And this is more of a long play pick. Gets that, like you mentioned, all the things about what Jordan Tyson gets by being on that Saints offense. You know, you've got Garrett Wilson getting the attention of the number one corners. Yep, it's Geno Smith as a QB, but he's serviceable. He can develop good fantasy wide receivers, and I'd like to think there is a certain period of time where the Jets do figure out how to turn around their fate. So that's where I'm going.
It's a very interesting choice there. Again, it would be totally different if this was different teams, because if I was the 9th team and Omar Cooper went ahead of Kenyon Sadiq in a tight end premium, I'd be pretty happy. So I'm going to take Sadiq here, who has also gone to the Jets, same as Omar Cooper, and went 14 picks before him at 16 overall. He is a freakish athlete. That's what has wowed everyone. His production in college isn't huge. But it's the potential. It's all the potential here. So this will be really interesting to compare these two picks, Cooper and Sadiq, because they have picked Sadiq before Cooper in the draft, which suggests to me he's going to be their number 2 behind Garrett Wilson and will feature prominently in that offense this year under Geno, who still, look, he wasn't great last year, but he's a veteran. He's still going to be able to find his targets, and he found Bowers early and often. So we'll see how the young kid goes here with Sadiq.
He wasn't great, but I suppose that when you watch Raiders games, the offensive line was a disaster, to be fair. So you probably didn't have much of a chance. I think the Jets will win and improve there, but how much you can get out of him, not quite sure. But the other one with Sadiq I think is interesting. It's like the production was a little low. There's some acknowledgement there, but also he's so young that his actual age adjusted production is actually okay. I know I'm just still excited about my boy at the 101 boys. I just can't stop. So a lot of people saying, look, he's so young, so you got to give him a bit of grace there. There's a bit of projection involved in it, but he's so athletic. The upside's there. It's not a bad pick. Now, question without notice, Hod. We're 9 picks in to our rookie draft, our mock draft here, live. You've got a nice little bounty of picks next year. There's no doubt about that. You've got 5 or 6, I believe. You've loaded up for next year. My question to you would be, is there any player in the first 9 that we've selected tonight that you would trade one of those 2027 picks for? Or would you just be happy to hang on and you're not that interested?
This has just fallen very nicely here, because this is very topical for the man who may now own Jeremiah Love, who is the only player in this draft class that I would look at sending one of those very nice picks next year. And I'll just let you know there's 9 of the top 15 picks at the Dingerland next year. So just Jeremiah Love. It's that's how stacked and top heavy this draft is. And I will bank on next year with the amount of quarterbacks that are eligible and the class, how good it is. That will just push so many skill positions back. So that just means the strength of the draft will be a lot stronger. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. Jeremiah Love.
Simple no would have been okay.
It's probably the follow-up is probably like, at what point would you actually look to come into this draft, or are you just happy, content with where your picks land? But that'll be a discussion for another time. I'll be back on the clock here with Camo at pick 10. As you said, Ben, he's got 15 picks in a row. He probably doesn't need to go right here, but I'm going to take him here, and I think he needs to walk away with him. And his name's Ty Simpson, the QB that the Rams took. I think Camo's a perfect team for this guy to land on. He can sit on his taxi squad for a couple of years. Let's see where this goes. He's got to walk away with at least a QB in the bank. Mendoza at the top, Ty Simpson near the back of the first round. I think he's set up nicely to take both of them. And I expect he will.
That's actually a really interesting one. The fact that if he got the top pick and didn't get the second, he probably didn't walk away with Mendoza. But now he actually walks away with 2 in this mock draft, which is probably, they're both going to be the second or third year. Well, Mendoza will be second 100%, but Simpson could even be the third year if Stafford sticks around for 2, which is probably on the timeline for the Demons anyway. Benny.
I'm up, am I? Okay. So, I mean, it's hard to right now say what he'll go because I'm just going next best available of what I think here, and that's Eli Stowers, or Stowers, how do you say it?
Stowers.
Stowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt that went to Philly. I just think that right now they're literally just dart throws at this point. We spoke about this a little bit last week, that there is this sort of clumping of players that all come together here, and which one will come out actually on top at the end of the season will be anyone's guess. It's a bit of a crapshoot. So, yeah, just take next best available, and I've got Stowers there.
Very nice. He was one of my faves last week. So like that pick, this is where it gets interesting, boys, because Sleeper is telling me to take Denzel Boston, the new wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, but I'm going to stick to my big board.
Your boy.
And I'm looking down at this big board, and I've got my boy Antonio Williams, and I'm going to sneak him
Yeah, there he is.
the last pick of the first round for the reasons I set out last week. And geez, I have to scroll down here.
That'll adjust. He's been high on a lot of radars. He's rising with a bullet, your boy.
So I'll quickly. I don't want to harp on Antonio Williams too much because I did so last week. But what I do like in the comparison here is the slot, which I like for rookies coming in to have a bit more of a immediate impact. But he has the chance to be the second target or target earner in a high flying offense. Compare that to Denzel Boston, that I think he's going to be third at best behind Fannin and Concepcion. So for that reason, I'm going with Antonio, my boy, in the last pick here. And the other point I wanted to make, after the top 8 picks or 8 players on my board, I'd have Sadiq ahead of Cooper. But I think after that, in this draft, you just pick who you want to pick. They all jumble into one big tier. So just get your players. That would be my approach to this draft.
Get your guy. Benny, do you want to give us a quick rundown of the first round of our beautiful, beautiful mock draft?
All right, the first round saw the Demons taking, not the Demons actually, was the Grouse taking Jeremiah Love. Then we had the Demons taking Fernando Mendoza and Jordan Tyson. At 2 and 3, the DFF goes in with his homer pick and Makai Lemon. Camo, the San Diego Demons takes Carnell Tate and Casey Concepcion. Timos gets the second RB off the board at pick 7, Jadarian Price. And then it's a run of Camo's picks where he goes Amarian Cooper, Sadiq, Ty Simpson, Stowers, and Antonio Williams there. So the order of that, as you said, Hod, will be very dependent on who is picking. When it's Camo picking, if he does pick all of them, he'll probably just go whichever order he wants to there. Which now gets us to the start of the second round, which is the San Diego Demons, just for something a little bit different.
Well, it's his last pick for the night. This is it. So
he can take a rest after this one. Kick his feet up.
He can. And what I love to look back on, boys, is how close we get it and how much we might influence our wonderful league who tune in and want to know all about it. I do like the fact that Ben and Hod aren't really involved in the first two rounds this year. So they're saying what they want to say, and they're not trying to influence anyone or anything like that. So I look forward to, in a few weeks when we actually do the draft, what it actually looks like. But here at pick 13, the first pick of the second round, I think I have to pick Denzel Boston here. I also understand why you might have picked who you picked, Antonio Williams ahead of him, but I think the Browns obviously like him. I think the draft capital, early day 2 pick, you can't really ignore it in the second round of this draft that isn't that deep. I think he's the last obvious receiver to take there. Compared a little bit to the T. Higgins to Jamar Chase type of player, like a bigger receiver, red zone threat. There's a few mouths there to feed in Cleveland, but I think it's at this point in the draft, it's worth taking.
Yeah, and there's no argument to say that when training camp starts up that Concepcion and Boston are going to be worlds apart. So you're getting Concepcion at pick 6, Boston at pick 13. I know that draft capital would suggest that that's the order that they should go in, but we've seen it year after year that all it takes is a QB to get a connection with someone, and they start to get more targets and more reps. And
the other interesting thing with this is, and I don't know what you boys think of this, but Cleveland took obviously Boston after Concepcion, but not too often do teams take a wide receiver at the end of the first round and then open up the second round with another wide receiver. So in my view, they must have rated him as a first round talent that got to them or pretty close to it to actually go, well, we've covered wide receiver, but we're going to take another one here because we got him that much higher on our board than anyone else. So I see it as a bit of a positive potentially without knowing too much about it. I look at it and go, well, they must have really liked him because they had the position covered.
Yeah,
That's a very nice point.
Very good point. I'm up next with Keeney's pick here. He picks at pick 14. He got this pick through the Gym City Stallions, so the Grouse on the clock in the second round. And right now, we did say that QB, tight end were probably your points of need. I don't see a QB or tight end around this point that you would bother with. So I'm going to go the next best available skill position, and I'm going to go the Alabama wide receiver here, who went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jeremy Bernard. Just as a little bit of an interesting pick. I do think that there's targets to be had here in Pittsburgh. Don't think DK Metcalf is going to command as much attention as he got last year. So, yeah, I see this as a nice little future play as well beyond just the Aaron Rodgers interesting year that you're going to get in Pittsburgh.
They do have a very good track record with wide receivers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know
very
who
keen on Mekhi Lemon as well at the time. They were about to draft him, so this guy became their
really
next
good
version.
They were very keen. I don't know who the QB is at the moment. Does anyone know yet?
Ayahuasca? I don't know. Who knows?
Will Howard, I reckon.
Will Howard, yeah.
Would
Big
you
Michael.
have,
Big Michael sort him out, mate.
Jeremy Bernard's a polarizing player. Some have him very high, but the consensus don't. And you're forgetting about the Pity City there, heading over from the Colts to the Pittsburgh Steelers there. But I think it's going to be really interesting now with Jeremiah Love joining the Grouse. The Grouse is a fun team this year in this Dynasty League. He could make a couple of moves and then all of a sudden be right up there. So Jeremy Bernard's probably a next year play.
It doesn't mean our man wouldn't try and flip him for some current stock value too.
That's why you take best player available. Very good point. And that's what I'm going to do right here for the smartest man in the league. What have we got here? We've got quarterback and tight end. Is that his? No, that's the Grouse. What am I doing?
He's got Rocky Bowers. He's fine.
Needs running back and wide receiver. We've got with tight end a position of strength, and he probably classes his 16 quarterbacks as a position of strength. But we will. Let's go best player available here, and I'm going to go with Jonah Coleman. And this is an intriguing one, given the injury history of J.K. Dobbins, the underwhelming first year for R.J. Harvey. He got his touchdowns, but he had a very low yards per carry and Don't know if he's won Sean Payton over, and now they get another one in, and this guy's a little bowling ball. But there is still, obviously, fall into the second round. There are a few question marks around pass protection. But I see a path there that he could, by the end of this season, possibly be the starting running back in Denver, which is a pretty nice offense to have some pieces in.
Yeah, he's a intriguing name, that's for sure. And I suppose the RJ Harvey discussion there will be very, very intriguing as well as we go. I would have also picked him for the DFF next on the clock, so you've taken that from me. I'm going to go with an interesting pick here. I'm going to go with Stribling from the Niners. I'm going to put him up here. I think this is about the range where he goes. Clearly, the team were pretty high on him, and from all reports, there's some other teams that was suggesting, whilst he was a bit of a bolter, a bit of a smoky on the night, there was some other very wise teams that were very much looking to try and grab him not long after the Niners did. So I think there was a bit more consensus on Stribling than maybe let on the night. So I think this is about the range he goes. I can see Steph just picking this one off. So we're gonna put Stribling to the DFF.
Very nicely done. I'm just bloody hell.
Where is he?
Let me just keep going down here. 287.
No way.
No, really?
What?
Yep. There we go.
That
Classic
seems-
DFF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't
Real
even got a
reach.
picture.
Real reach around.
Is he what? Yeah, he's in the picture.
Yeah. All right. So next up, I'm on the clock here, picking at pick 17 for the smartest man in the room, the sensible haircuts. We did mention that it would be probably a running back wide receiver option. He went with he loves a zero RB type approach, so I don't see the next RB off the board here being exciting enough. So I do think that he's taking a wide receiver here. Now, which wide receiver? This is where it gets a bit of a crapshoot. And to your point, Hod, just take who you like next there. So I'm going to go with Chris Bell here. The targets galore have to go somewhere in Miami. And I think that this guy is as good a chance as any. I mean, before the draft, their wide receiver room just looked like nothing. It looked like a DFF lineup. So yeah, Chris Bell here, and then it's just more opportunity than anything else, really, for this pick.
This is an interesting one for me. So he's a popular pick for this year because they don't have anyone to throw to.
Yep.
But let's turn 12 months' time, and Miami are picking in the top 5. They have got the best wide receiver to come out of the draft since Megatron in Jeremiah Smith. So this might be a 1-year rental for targets.
But the smartest man in the room looks at that and goes, what if this guy takes very early in the season and his stocks just go up and up and up, and he flips him around because of the exact points you just mentioned there. I think it's an interesting, when it's really just a crapshoot. I mean, if he's going to get targets this year, and if he is going to be of relevance, you do get value, and he should increase in value as a result.
All right. Well, I have got one of the great members of the best division in world sport here in the Gym City Stallions.
What's he need?
His first pick in the draft, number 18, and I'm going to say he needs everything. And why not start with...
Can I run you through just a rough guide of sort of where each position he has fits in the league? So he's quarterbacks ranked about 10th out of 12, running backs 9th, wide receivers 10th, tight ends 7th. So that's a fair assessment there, Hod, a bit of everything.
See, a man who knows the best position in world sport. Tight ends his strength. But I'm actually going to agree with Sleeper here. And the reason I'm taking this is because Jim is all about the Tennessee Titans. He has got the quarterback there.
Cam Ward,
thank you. He's got Wan'Dale Robinson, and it slips my mind, but I think he's got another member of the Titans. So he's all in So why not grab Nick Singleton here, who has a chance? It's a little bit of a murky backfield there. We've got Tony Pollard and who's the other fella? He's always injured. Spears.
Tajay Spears.
Tajay.
And who knows with them? They're definitely gone after a year. So this could be a very good 2-year play. But he has a chance to come in, and he's a freakish athlete. And he could be running this backfield by the end of the season, and he gets a real good look at him for what's in store for his future.
Very good. He's a very sexy pick. He's rising as well. But you're right. It's this time of it's this part of the draft where you just pick off who you like. And
Speaking of, Keeney.
Speaking of, I don't want to.
The grouse are on the clock. Who do you like here?
I don't really want to tip my hand too much here, but anyway.
This is what we do for the listeners. We do.
We
don't hold back.
I think there's going to be some interesting tight end names to come out of this draft. I think there were a ton taken with the tight end premium format. I love what you said it earlier, Hod. I love what you're doing down in New Orleans, Kellen Moore. The great Kellen Moore joins us live on the podcast, but I'm going to take an extremely athletic and exciting tight end here, Oscar Delp, who went to the Saints. And this is a future play. For those listening, this is a future play. I think Juwan Johnson and Noah Fant might be gone in a year's time, and this boy will be the number one. So you might have to wait 12 months. He's extremely athletic. I love what they're putting around him. If Big Tyler Shuck takes another step forward, this could be the tight end that we go to town with going forward.
Really like that.
Very
Shoot
nice.
your shot.
I have got pick 20. We have got the reigning champions, the Bayside Executioners. Scoot is taking his first pick here at pick 20. And his point of need is probably wide receiver more than anything else. Now, the previous draft, what Scoot's strategy was to get as many sort of second round picks and almost do what we're doing right now. Just, throw a few darts out there, see what might land on the board. So wide receivers here, we've got a mix here of Chris Brazel's still there, Ted Hurst, there's Elijah Sarrett still around. I'm going to lean for Scoot here, and no doubt he'll give me feedback and tell me I got it horribly wrong no matter what I pick, even if I pick the play that he was thinking right now. I'm going to go the offense with some upside here in Ted Hurst. I know that Tampa Bay have a lot of wide receivers, but they also lost Mike Evans in the offseason, so there's a lot of targets there up for grabs. A lot of injuries last year meant that some rookies rose pretty early in that offense there. So Ted Hurst, put it out there with Baker Mayfield. He's only 21 years old, so nice and young play there. So a bit of a future pick too.
Yeah, and Godwin's not going to last too much longer. Igbuka had an interesting year last year, didn't he? He started off like a house on fire and then just fell right away.
McMillan comes back in the mix as well. But, so there's a lot of targets to go around. But, like I said, injuries for Godwin. He's never going to be healthy.
We've gone from Word of the Day Chronicle to Word of the Day Rising tonight. It's been used an awful amount.
Now, it's a rookie draft.
I have been blessed with the smartest man in the room again. Now, when you mock draft for this guy, you have to go to awfully different stratospheres and
to get on his level.
This is where I've landed on this planet. I reckon that he had a vision of a long time into the crystal ball future. He traded away Kenneth Walker. And because he traded away, he probably knew there was some bad juju coming his way, and he's going to get the best handcuff in fantasy football this year and get Emmett Johnson, and he will think, I know how this will play out when Kenneth Walker gets injured, which he does a lot, and then Emmett Johnson comes in and takes the starting job. The smartest man in the room will just be sitting there with the biggest grin going, I've done this again. I've outsmarted the world. So that is my pick. I'm getting carried away here. I've got to make the pick.
Well, And remember 3 or 4 years ago when he made the pick on Kenneth Walker, I think he called his mum at the time to try and negotiate or psych Steph out in a negotiation. We said, "Who are you talking to?" And he said, "Oh, my mum." It was good areas.
Yeah.
But I will just touch on Emmett.
Yes, please do.
Really sneaky pick. He's the best pass catcher in this class. There's a lot of strong runners, but not too many good pass catchers. He's one of them. So he can come in and he could have a third down role to start with as it is. But who knows? As soon as it's the Chiefs, I think our eyes light up and want a piece of that offense. So he could be the one. He's better than Brashard Smith already. So, nice pick for the man.
Hey, don't knock my Brashard Smith shares. Thank you very much, Hodge. That was a low blow.
3 picks to
Low
go.
blow. All right, now we welcome Papa's Punishers, who you get to know this man. Oh, will you get to know this man? What are his needs? He needs a lot, but on the fantasy field, not as much. His team was quite strong, and he'll be a competitor once again. He's finally worked out that competing for a ring is where it's at, so it's good to have him in those folds. I'm going to pick a player here where we've seen the great man Mike McDaniel move to the LA Chargers and bring his 3/4 Lululemon pants down to LA. And the man wanted one player in this draft and one player only, and he got him in Brennan Thompson, the speedster, who, with Justin Herbert under centre, could be a nice little dart throw, big ceiling play, low floor, but what have we got here? Let's do it.
Tyreek.
Yeah, that footage of him when they made the pick, he's
a lunatic.
The most awkward man.
He's a lunatic. He's the best. I actually love it.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
He belongs on a British sitcom.
Yeah. It's a fair comment.
Or on the league. What is he? Is he Taco?
Yep.
He's sort of Ruxin mixed with Taco a little bit, isn't he?
Ruxin
and Raffy. He's like all over the shop.
Raffy.
Yeah,
that's who he is. All right.
Okay. I'm getting inside the mind of our co-host here, Keeney. The Grouse are back on the clock at pick 23, second last, penultimate pick for the second round. I consulted my thesaurus for that one, Hod. Look, I'm going to go back to wide receiver here because why not? Why not just sort of... You possibly might look at a tight end here, but I'm going to go with... He's still on the board. He got drafted by the Carolina Panthers from Tennessee. Chris Brazzell, 22-year-old wide receiver. I just think it's... Yeah, you'll go with the player that you clearly love, Keeney, but I'm just going with... He's highly rated wide receiver, still on the board, so why not just take him before the end of the second round?
Very good. He should be the number 2 to Tet.
I do have Tet.
You'll have Tet and him. Yeah. Coker obviously had a lot of off-season buzz last year, but dealt with injuries. So
the Cokeheads.
The Cokeheads were disappointed at the start of the year. So yeah.
I think is Jim the Cokehead? Does he have Coker?
Jim's got the Cokehead.
Yeah, he's a Cokehead.
Well, speaking of the great man. I've got his last pick here to round out round 2, and I'm going to go with a premium position in wide receiver, and I'm just looking at my big board here. It's not on the screen, it's just down here, and there's a player that I quite like at this point in the draft, and it's pairing him. What better quarterback can you play with as a rookie than Josh Allen? So I'm going to go with Skylar Bell here. Because, sorry to say, Scoot, but the Keon Coleman experiment is all but over, as much as they try and talk their way out of that horrible press conference with the owner or GM just lowballing him. But where is he? Here he is. He's a pretty handy size. He's a swift mover, and I think there is a real chance to earn some targets in this offense. For Josh Allen, they are on a quest for a wide receiver 1 since Stephon Diggs upped and left. to the party boat towns in Miami. So Skylar Bell is the last pick of our mock draft.
And if anyone's just listening and not watching, that sound is Hod trying to start a fire with his hands as he's very excited, rubbing those hands into the microphone. Do you want to recap the second round for us, Keeney, starting with Boston at the 201?
Yeah, who do we have? Camo just made the his fifth pick in a row there with Denzel Boston, followed by Jeremy Bernard at Pittsburgh. That was to me. Thank you very much, Manny. Took the third running back off the board here in Coleman at Denver. Interesting player. Stribling to Steph at the DFF, followed by Cooper Bell. Not even Cooper Bell. What's his name? Chris Bell. Sorry, there's a Cooper Bell in the AFL. I got confused. Chris Bell in Miami.
It's impressive he got drafted in the NFL too.
Thank you. Singleton will be a riser in rookie drafts. I have no doubt about that. He becomes the fourth running back off the board. Oscar Delp, the third tight end, taken by yours truly to yours truly. Scooter pipes in here with Hurst. We get Johnson from the Chiefs. Emmett, like it, Hod, as the fifth running back off the board. And where are we at next? Brendan Thompson, I picked for... Who did I pick? That's for Papa. Papa will like that pick. I think he'll be happy with it. The Carolina wide receiver, Brazil, and finally, Ding Dong. Ding
Dong. That's going to stick.
Ding Dong was picked 24. I've lost it. Oh, dear. It's been a night, boys. It is... I don't know half their first names, so you have to bear with me. But I know the player. I'm just... Ding Dong. No, it's been a fun night. I've enjoyed myself, and you did say, Hod, that the word of the podcast was rising, and I tell you what, mate, after that lottery, gee whiz, there's one way to describe me. I'm going to need a cold shower after this one. Over to you.
You go have a Ding Dong. All right, our draft is done. Voluntary mini camps have started this week. We're getting into it already, and we are well on our way, boys. But I tell you who means serious business this year, and that is our reigning champ, Scooter Sheehan. And he is the head coach, the general manager and owner of the Bayside Executioners. And he hasn't taken the team to the fine beaches of Cancun. He has taken the team to Papua New Guinea and has completed the Kokoda trek. So time will tell if this was a smart decision and whether the dengue fever might carry over into training camp, but we have to commend his drive and determination to go back to back. So questionable, but well done to the great man for completing that. And can't wait to see him back at the helm of the Executioners.
Well done, Scoot.
Well done, mate. Very, very impressive stuff. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the League Down Under. Don't forget, all of the league members, there is the challenge for the most followers on your Instagram page. If you haven't started those up, I'm looking at you, Keeney, and the Grouse. We need to get an Instagram page and get some followers on there. So
pick one.
Anyone listening out there, jump on. There is a Park City Lion page, so feel free to come along and be a follower of the Park City Lions if you wish. But thanks for listening to another episode, and we will catch you next week. Goodbye.